Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome your final storyteller to the stage, KateLawrence.
Thanks. In 1970, a book was published by Germaine Greer, The Female Eunuch. And I'm not exactly sure when it arrived in our house, but it arrived with a crash. It might as well have come with a year's supply of ammunition and a semi-automatic rifle, because my mother took to it with gusto, and she fired those shots at my dad and all of mankind. My sister and I was 8 and my little sister was 4, and we were the last 2 of her 6 children, and we were her foot soldiers. She was going to make sure that we knew the Feminist Manifesto very well. So she made sure that we weren't going to grow up and settle for motherhood and being wives. We would have careers and we would have a voice, and we would name discrimination wherever we saw it. So I went off to school and I noticed that the boys in Monday morning assembly saluted the flag, so I started saluting the flag. And when I became a house captain in grade 6 and there was a house march around the yard, and I noticed that the boys got to yell, "Attention, right turn." So I said, "Hang on, what about the girls?" So we got to have a turn too. Then when I was about 12, we went to a wedding, a big Italian wedding. I'm not even sure why we were invited, but my dad knew one person in the wedding party. And it was the first wedding I'd ever been to, and I was very excited. Well, my 2 takeaways from that wedding, one was a little bag of sugared almonds that I really enjoyed, and the other was something that I noticed, but my mother made sure we all noticed. No women spoke at the wedding. There was the groom and the groomsman and the bride's father and the groom's father and some old man and the priest, but no women spoke. And I really wanted to hear from that bride. So my mother made it really clear that she expected something more from her daughters, that when we grew up and there were any celebration, we would speak and we'd get women to speak on our behalf. My feminism got more sophisticated as I got older. I trained myself to like beer and I drank it out of the stubby and the can. As soon as the ads came on TV that men smoke drum, I turfed the tailor-mades and I was rolling up cigarettes. I played Aussie rules football, and I also trained myself that whenever there's a creature whose gender is unidentified and the default position in society is he, I came in with the big she. So the time came for my sister's 21st birthday. She was far more gregarious than me and was going to have a party. And she came to me and said, "Katie, would you speak at the 21st party?" I think I'd actually primed her, every year, when it comes, you've got to ask me. And I said, of course, I'd be honoured and it would be wonderful and I'll be fantastic. And so then I started to think about what it was I was going to say. And I came up completely blank. I'd spent 21 years living with this woman. I couldn't think of a single thing. One little one-liner here and a one-liner there. But we were not a storytelling family. We argued. We could politically point score. We could debate furiously. We would talk to the death over principle. But we could not craft a story to save ourselves. And the more I thought about it, the blanker I became. So I put it aside, and then suddenly the day of the party has arrived and we're preparing. There's a few questions asked, how's it going with the speech? Oh yeah, it's fine. I've got a bit more work to do. I'll just go in the spare room. So I went in the spare room with some paper and pen and I wrote, "Amanda is great. I love Amanda. I'm really proud of Amanda." Nothing was coming. So then I made a decision. I would wing it. It was a righteous cause. I could fly by the seat of my pants. I was studying law, for heaven's sakes. I could do this. I loved my sister. It would just all flow out of me at the right time in the middle of the party. So having made that decision, I relaxed and I went about helping with the preparations. By about 6 o'clock, I was much less confident, feeling quite tense. But I still couldn't think of a single thing to say about my sister. So then the party starts and I hand around drinks and food, and then comes the tinkle, 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 tinkle. It's speech time. My mother stands up and says how proud she is of her youngest child and thanks everyone for coming, and Amanda's asked her big sister Katie to say a few words. And I step up and I say, Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks Mum. Thanks Amanda for asking me to talk. Thanks, look, Amanda's a great sister. I really love her a lot. She's a really, 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 really wonderful person. And thanks all for coming, and thanks. That was it. And there was some sort of self-deception, ego preservation happening that made me think I'd scored a kind of bare 50. I hadn't said anything that was insulting or offensive. I just got over the line. And so I stood aside, and my mum came up and she said, "Oh, don't worry, don't worry about it. Let's just enjoy the party." My brother was there. But then my aunt came, my flaming red-haired, outspoken, exotic, glamorous younger sister of my mother, and she came bowling over and she said, "What was that?" And my facade just shattered like a windscreen, and I burst into tears, stormed out of the room, threw myself on that spare bed, sobbed my little histrionic heart out, and I pulled myself together, blew my nose, had a drink, had another drink, went back to the party. And it was okay. My sister is a loving, generous woman, and she forgave me just. And if it ever comes up, I still can go a little pink in the face, and I hope that it all blows over. And it is true that no one has ever asked me to speak at a family function again. But I think that now I would do a lot better, because I've learnt quite a bit about storytelling now. And just in case you were wondering, I didn't wing it tonight. I've been practicing. Thank you.